Very
5
nice.
years ago, beta, now alpha. You guys knocked me down, but I'm still coming back. I'm going to make it. I don't care. Like 400 items, got 15 orders.
Oh.
I should just stop. Like,
Okay.
this is bad. Like, I'm losing money. The reason I want to make money and want to have these connections and I want to have people respect me is essentially safety.
Not only am I chasing something to get, but I'm also running away from something as well.
Was when I came out of a 7-year relationship. That's when everything switched. At that point, I decided, like, no matter what happens with Rezillion, I'm gonna make it to the top. Proving to someone was my father. I'm gonna prove it to him that I can be just as good as him, if not better.
And then what did he say when you said you're going to start a clothing brand? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Tool for Rise podcast, aka the #1 podcast in Winnipeg, where we document the rise of stardom, Winnipeg's talent, and personalities. Thank you so much for watching, viewing, and subscribing. Like, comment, share, all that. Interesting, good episode today.
Let's dive into it. It's been a while since we wanted this guest, and we finally secured it. Please welcome the owner of Rezillion Clothing, or Rezillion Apparel, Dylan Felgueiras.
All right.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you.
I'm excited.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, sir.
We were just talking about your business, Rezillion Apparel.
Yeah, doing Calgary tour.
Doing a Calgary
Yeah.
tour, making names, made your name in Winnipeg at first, and now you're branching out. First of all, congrats. I told you this before,
thanks.
but again, congratulations. I'm sure building a clothing brand is not an easy
Not at
feat.
all, man. I honestly think I went for the hardest business to start. Like, I do have a second business now.
Yeah.
And I think learning from Rezillion, I was able to build my second business a lot better. And considering how hard clothing is, like, it is insanely competitive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to make money, I'll tell you, you're not going to make any money for the first, like, 5 years in clothing.
Yeah.
Like, you better be ready to just dump money, like, grind away, and just, it's a pure hustle. Because clothing it's reputation, right? You almost have to build hype around it.
Yeah.
You need, like, people to back you. It's a luxury. People don't need to have luxury clothing or graphic tees.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, someone needs to go to the dentist, someone needs to go to the doctor, someone needs, like, for my other business, concrete.
Right.
Like, people need to drive on roads. Like, there's a necessity. But, like, when it comes to, like, clothing that's just, like, graphic clothing that's, like, luxury, you don't necessarily need it.
No.
You can just go buy a regular tee from Walmart if you really want.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's such a tough business, is because you have to build a reputation and build branding, and you got to build emotion behind it. Like, why are people going to buy it? What's the point? Right?
Well, I mean, like, you know, there's so many competitors out there, right? You got so many clothing brands in Winnipeg. So, like, I guess the obvious question for me is, like, why did you even start clothing, first of all?
Yeah. I ask myself the same thing. I really do ask myself. I've asked myself this question multiple times. I'm like, why did I go for the hardest business? Like, why? There's so much competition. There's so many brands out. You got your Nike, Adidas, and it's like, why? Like, why did I do it? And I always ask myself that. And I think because the biggest thing was I saw how the clothing connected other people together. And I didn't want to just have a business that was like, okay, it was just based on me. I didn't connect with many people. Or, like, maybe I had clients and stuff. But there wasn't, like, a large group of people that I could attract, talk to, network with. And with clothing, like, I can get you to wear it. I can get you to wear it. I can get him to wear it. I can get so many different people to wear it. And now I have connections with those people. You guys are wearing my stuff.
Yeah.
So it almost, like, branches off into something bigger. So, like, from that, if you're wearing my stuff and now we have a connection, okay, like, what do you think of my stuff? And then you have, say, something you have going on, like a business or some type of ambition. Well, now I can learn from you. But that clothing was kind of like it was like an outlet.
Right.
For something bigger. And that's the way I look at it now. It's like, the more I do this stuff, for example, when I go to Calgary, the fact that I'm meeting all these new people, I now have a bigger network. So if I ever want to do something else, I can now network with these people that I've met. So it makes it easier for me. Even though the clothing itself, the brand, is so hard to build, I can then use what I built with that to build something even better. Which, for example, my concrete business, that took off, like, so well because of the connections I was able to make with the clothing brand. Like, you would never think clothing and concrete go together, but it's like, when you do something really hard, and especially something with another business, and you make all the mistakes with one business, then you can take all those mistakes and apply it to your new business. And they always say, like, your second business usually does the best compared to your first one. Your first one usually fails. Like, mine hasn't failed, but I've definitely had, like, some failures for sure. Like, I've gone through tons of, like, struggles, man. Like, I don't know if you guys heard, but I also like lost my brand at one point.
No.
Right.
Yeah, so I got a cease and desist letter from down in the States. So this was before I had to actually change the name. So it's called Rezillion now.
Yeah.
It was called Relentless before.
Okay.
And I got a cease and desist letter from this company down in the States that also had the name Relentless. And they're basically like, hey, you guys got 10 days to shut your business down. We already have this business name trademarked. You can't use it in Canada. You can't use it in the States.
Wow.
We need you to shut your business down or we're taking you to court. So like me, I had this like thick stack of papers in front of me and I'm reading and I'm like, holy shit, like I don't even know what this like what to do here. I'm like, at this point I'm like 22. So I'm like, I'm just starting a business. I'm trying to have fun with it. And these guys are sending me like 20 pages of like legal documents. I'm like, dude, I don't even know what this is.
Yeah.
So I like, first thing is like, obviously I asked my parents, I'm like, what is this? And they're like, this is not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, take it to a lawyer. So I take it to a lawyer and they're like, yeah, you got to stop. You got like you have 10 days or else they're going to take you to court and you're going to end up paying more money and whatever. So yeah, at that point I had like 300 items on my shelves and I had to sell everything within 10 days.
Wow.
Sold it and then I restarted the brand with Rezillion 8 months later. And then took that, learned from that and just kept on going, man.
Let's go back to where it begins. Like, when did you start? Before the cease and desist, when did this start? How did it start?
Rezillion started in 2018.
Okay.
Relentless, when I actually took the first like jump into clothing, was 1 year prior.
Okay.
2017.
And what was the idea behind that? Like, why do that?
So it was behind the name, Relentless.
So you had the name.
Yeah, the name was Relentless. That's what was my idea behind it. Because I was like, you know what? I've always been like an entrepreneur. Like even, dude, in high school, I was trying to sell fake beats. Like I would go to my boys and I'd be like, yo, I got these beats, man. They're way cheaper. Like remember when beats were the thing?
Yeah.
So I had like all these fake beats from like Alibaba and I'd be like hustling them to my boys. I'd be like, yeah, these ones are just as good, man. I was always hustling something. I was trying to always sell something.
Yeah.
So and then that's when like the name came to mind. I was like, Relentless. I can never give up. Even if like I stopped selling one thing, I'm like, I'm selling another thing and like moving on to the next business. Like I'm always thinking of something to do.
Nice.
So then that's when I created Relentless. And I was in the like gym at the time. Like that was my big thing. So I was like, hey, gym, Relentless, like kind of my mindset. Like let's put this together.
Yeah.
And then that's when I started making stringers. So I made stringers first and then it obviously just like went from there.
Sure.
So at the time of the cease and desist, I only had like stringers, couple hoodies, and like a pair of joggers and leggings. That was it. So it wasn't really like anything crazy. And I was just like, dude, I was playing around. I didn't even really know what I was doing. Like I was just messing around and then I get this like 20-page document. And I'm like, dude, what, like, how did you guys even find me first of all? And they found me because of Instagram and Google. I ranked above them on Google. and they're like, no way, that's not happening. You're above us? No, we're cease and desist. But I learned quickly. Quickly about like how the world is, man. Like it's competitive. Like as soon as you surpass someone, they're out to get you. Like they're gonna try to find a way to be better than you. And that's when I learned very quickly. I'm like, dude, it's competition out there. No matter what, like no matter what you're doing, you're competing against someone or something.
Of course.
And yourself. Like you're competing against yourself. And if you're in business, I'm sorry, you're competing against other businesses, whether you like it or not. And if you don't, then you already lost. Yeah.
That's crazy, man. 22-year-old, you're getting a cease and desist.
Yeah.
What did that feel like? I mean,
dude, anxiety. You know what anxiety feels like? That's what it felt like. I was tripping, man. I was tripping. I was literally like shaking. I was like, what do? I have 300 items on my shelf. Like that's like $4,000. Like what am I gonna do? And I'm like tripping. So like obviously called my mom. The first thing I do, I was like, what is this? Like what do I do?
That's crazy.
And then so I saw a lawyer and it was just like,
did you not have it trademarked?
No, because I was just like, you know when you just start something and you just start it and just see where it goes?
Yeah,
like you don't really know the legalities. 100%. You don't know the logistics of things. You're just kind of like testing the waters. And that's what I was doing. I was young. Right? I was I don't really know how to like run no one in my family has ran a business. No one. Like none of my cousins, none of my closest, like my brother, dad, any of that. So it's like I was the first one to like even try to go into this. I had no one to like base anything off of. So I'm just like going with the flow. Like if someone told me, hey, you should probably trademark that, I would have done it. But I didn't know. I was just like a 21, 22-year-old, like just starting a business, man.
I was reading through your story on your website, right? And I think you talked about this.
That one's old. I should probably change that.
But no, there was a moment where I was like getting like goosebumps because the story was sick. It was like I think it was a similar where you almost lost your brand, right? And then you come back and you attach your goal to your brand name, right?
Yes.
So touch on that for a little bit for me. Like, how did you come up with Rezillion to what it is now, right?
Yeah. So obviously it started with Relentless.
Yeah.
And then after like I lost it, there was an 8-month period of where I didn't have the brand. And I was like, okay, I got to come back. What's the name going to be? And then that's when I came up with the word resilient, because obviously what happens, like, it doesn't matter. Like, Relentless and Resilient are similar, but the Resilient was like, okay, you guys knocked me down, but I'm still coming back, and I don't give a shit. Like, I'm going to make it. I don't care. Like, you guys can hit me with all the legal stuff you want, and like other businesses can come attack me. I'm still gonna keep on going. And at that point, I decided, like, no matter what happens with Rezillion, I'm gonna make it to the top. And so that was the word resilient, and then the other word was million, and that's because that's the goal. Is I want 1 million orders. So online orders, once I reach that. So the goal's already in the name. So every time I say the word resilient, it's like triggering my mind. It's like, don't forget, you have to reach 1 million orders. And if you don't, you failed. So it's like something that keeps on reminding me, like, keep hustling. Like, you're not there yet. Like, so it's almost like instilling like that hunger. It's like, I know like my goal's up here. I'm right here, whatever orders I'm at right now. I don't even know, like maybe 20,000 orders. And I still have to get to this spot. So I'm always going to be hungry to get there. Whereas if I didn't have that, the goal in the word, maybe I wouldn't be as like hungry to do what I'm doing. So yeah, resilient, million put together creates resilient. And that's when it came together. I restarted it in September 2018 and just been hustling ever since. But the brand has changed a lot. Like, before it was mainly just fitness. And I don't know if you guys notice now, but it's changing more into what I've always envisioned it as, which is the luxury apparel and more streetwear style. So that's when I have like the graphic tees and stuff, and that's kind of the initial launch of showing where it's heading. So by the end of this year, it should be fully transitioned over to like the luxury apparel streetwear.
Nice.
Yeah.
When you started, was the reception good, or what was the immediate reception of launching the brand?
It was actually really good.
Okay.
Really good. I was surprised, but I think that's because, so when I started the brand, I think the reason it did well is because I already had a personal brand. So I was big on TikTok. I was not big on Instagram, but I had like a decent following. And I was also YouTubing at the time. So I think the brand was almost like, it was almost me in that sense. Like, I was the face of it. So as long as I kept on creating content and giving value to people, it would have a good reputation among other people, as long as I was providing that value. So when I lost the brand, I continued making content, providing value for people. And then when September came, I basically said, okay, brand's coming back. This is the new thing. Like, this is the new drop. This is the name, and this is why I'm doing it. So I already had an audience and a following. And I think that's why I had people support me as soon as I launched it. Because if I didn't have that personal brand, no, it wouldn't have done as good. Not even close. Because then it would have been only the backing of the brand. Right? There's no face. There's no person behind it. So if the brand went under, okay, brand new brand. What is this? Whereas if it's like, oh, Dylan's launching a new brand, or Felgueiras, that was my name for Instagram, then it's like, oh, this is interesting. Well, he's provided us value. Let's go check it out. Like, his content's cool, and it helps us. So I think that's why it did well.
I'm always intrigued to see, why someone does something, right? Like, you started clothing, but I'm sure there was a deeper message as to why you started
100%.
clothing, right?
Why does anyone do anything?
Exactly. So I'm like, what was your why? Like, whether that was you were driven by money or you were driven by...
It's funny that you asked this, because I was actually thinking about this a few days ago. The deeper meaning, and I didn't know this until recently, like, why was I actually doing it? And I self-reflect a lot. I always ask myself, like, why am I doing what I'm doing? Even if I get in an argument with someone, it's like, why did I get in an argument? Like, why? What was the reason? Like, what am I trying to get to? So, and then I asked myself, why? Like, why did I even, what was the point of trying to build this brand and trying to make it as big as possible, hit 1 million orders? Like, what's the point? And the answer to me was safety. So the reason I want to make money and want to have these connections and I want to have people respect me is essentially safety. Safety for me, safety for my family, and safety for the family that I build one day. So if I have a brand that is reputable, like, for example, the fact that you guys have me on here, you obviously respect me to some degree, right? And when I go to say refinery yesterday, and people come and talk to me, they're like, hey, like, you know what? Your brand is sick. Like, I've been following it. You've done a really good job. That to me is respect. And when you have respect, it's safety. And then on top of that, if you're making money from your business, money also gives you safety. You're able to live in a nice house. You know, you're able to do things. You're able to make more decisions. You have more freedom. And when you have more freedom, you have more safety. So that was my deeper meaning behind it, and that's why I do it now. It's like, I want to create safety for myself, for the family that I build, and then obviously the family lineage that I have right now. That's the biggest reason. And that's why I started concrete business too. Like, the only reason I keep on having this ambition and to pursue things is that simple purpose in life is to create safety for the people I love. That's it.
Did you feel unsafe before?
Not necessarily, no. I felt like other people were creating safety for me.
Gotcha.
For example, my parents would create safety for me. But if you think about it, your parents are getting old, right? You don't want them to always be taking care of you. You don't want them to be your safety net. So being a man, I'm like, I want to be the one that creates safety. Like, when you guys are getting older and you guys can't work as much, I want to give you guys safety. I want to give my girl safety. I want to give my kids safety. Like, I need to be that one. And I think that's something to be like prideful of. And so that's, so it's not that I didn't feel safe. I just felt like someone else was providing safety for me. And the older you get, you don't want to be like feeling like a kid, like you're just being taken care of. Like, oh, it's okay. Oh, something went wrong, we'll take care of you. Like, oh, you need food, I'll go buy it for you. It's like, no, I want to be a man. I want to buy my stuff. I want to pay my rent. I want to buy my own car. I want to take care of my girl, like all those different things, right?
Yeah. Did you feel like you had a chip on your shoulder to like prove something in terms of, you know, like, yeah, I can, like, watch me do this, you know, like, if I'm gonna go run a clothing business, it's gonna be me. Like, it's a part of getting that respect. I feel like the reason every person achieves something or goes out to chase something, I feel like it's because they got something to prove, whether that's like just the starting point, you know, like, whether that's, I said something and I'm going to be a man of my word and I'm going to prove that I can accomplish what I said. So was that something for you where it's like, yo, I got something to prove here?
Yeah, I would say yes. And I would say it was proving it to my dad.
Yeah.
Because I saw how hard he worked and how successful he was in his, like, he also works concrete. Yeah. That's why part of the reason why I was able to start that business. But yeah, I would say the initial proving to someone was my father. Yeah. Right? Seeing how hard he worked and then being like, okay, well, I want to show him that I can do the same or be better. Like, if I see how hard he works and he was able to keep me safe and provide this nice house for us to live in and grow up, it's like, I can't sit at home and just be a degenerate and like go out drinking every weekend. Like, he worked his ass off to put me in this position. Like, am I just gonna sit at home and do like nothing? Yeah. So I think that was the part where I was like, I'm gonna prove it to him that I can be just as good as him, if not better. Yeah.
And then what did he say when you said you're going to start a clothing brand?
Oh, I thought it was crazy. He thought it was crazy. He's old school though. He's old school. He's like, yo, you got to work with your hands and like, you got to go out and work as hard as you can. Like, you got to be outside. And I'm like, okay, you got to understand. We're living in a different era. Like, there's social media, there's the internet. Like,
but that doesn't exist.
Yeah, he's like, that doesn't matter.
That doesn't really.
People don't matter. I'm like, okay, cool. So yeah, there was obviously some backlash there, and they didn't really understand. But I mean, that's part of the pressures that you receive. Sometimes it's your family, sometimes it's your closest friends, man, that just give you the pressure, right? But yeah, so I would say proving to someone it started off with my dad, and then obviously it starts to come with like it evolves from that, and it's like proving it to the world, proving it to your friends, like showing that you can do it. Yeah. Especially when people say, oh, like they kind of like you kind of tell them, yeah, I'm starting a brand, like I have this clothing, and they're like interested in it, but it's also like, okay, like okay,
let's see how long it lasts.
Let's see how long this lasts. And they're like supporting it, but you can read the energy.
Yeah.
Right? So then it became like more like bigger than that. Yeah. But I never forgot the main focus, and I think that's a lot of people get like distracted by everything else, and you got to just remember what the main focus is and why you're doing what you do, which is, so I guess it'd be like proving it to my father and then creating that safety.
There's a lot of parallels here, because even when we started our podcast, it was a lot of like Are they like, okay, congrats, you started a podcast, but like, how long is this gonna last?
Yeah.
Well, we're at 127, 8 episodes deep. We'll see how long more goes,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But at first, it was a lot of like, we're just two guys sitting in a room chatting with people. So it's like, anyone can start a podcast, but like, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that a lot of people don't see. And I'm sure with the brand as well, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that maybe your friends don't see. They see the Instagram post, they see the nice clothing, but there's a lot of work that goes in behind. Did you have any expectation of what it was going to be like? Like when you started, where you're like, oh, I'm going to sell it. It's going to sell. And then the reality hit of like,
Oh yeah.
people aren't buying this.
Yeah. I was like, okay, so I used to watch this guy on YouTube, Christian Guzman.
Okay.
And I saw when he started his brand, but the guy had like 800,000 YouTube subs. So I can't even compare myself to him. But still, he like sold out the first time. I'm like, yo, I got these 6 stringers. Like, oh my God. Like, I got Instagram posts. I got like 8,000 followers. Like, I'm going to sell out. I got all my boys buying it. And then I launch it. It's like 15 orders. I'm like, shit.
Out of how many?
Oh, well, I ordered 100 stringers, 100 pairs of joggers, 100 leggings, and 100 sports bras. So I had 400 items, got 15 orders.
Oh.
And I was like, uh-oh, I'm going back to work. I'm going straight back to work in construction with my dad. So that was like a big wake-up call. I was like, okay, it's not easy.
Yeah.
It is not easy at all. And then obviously you just go from there and you just learn and evolve. And I just started coming up with ways to just keep pushing it, which was at the time my brand, like my self brand, Felgueiras Flex. That was how I grew it. Was like, okay, I just got to keep on giving people value, like keep making TikToks, keep making Instagram posts, and providing value in the fitness niche. So then that's how I grew it, was using my personal brand. Because I watched that guy, right, Christian Guzman, I'm like, okay, this guy sold out because he has a personal brand, he provides value, and that's how he was able to sell, because these people like him. So I'm like, I'm going to do the same. I'll just replicate it. And then obviously it's changed since then. I actually try to pull myself away from being the face of the brand. I stopped making TikToks, stopped making YouTube videos. And now I kind of allow other people to be the face of the brand. Because I like to do the stuff on the back end. I like to be the creative guy. And I felt like when I was the face of the brand, there was a lot of pressure on me. And I don't like how whatever I say or do reflects on Rezillion, because Rezillion is a different entity. It's a part of me, it's an identity, but it's not me. So I never want the other parts of me to be like, oh, well, that's Rezillion as well. You know, like I want them to be different. Rezillion is something else. It's its own thing. So, and then that's when I started to kind of move away from that. And I actually felt a lot of relief on myself. And I actually felt like I had a lot more energy to put into Rezillion. Because I didn't feel like it was all on me. Like, oh, it's just like, okay, whatever you say is like, that's going to make the brand. And I didn't like that. It didn't feel like a business. It felt like I was like, all the pressure was on me. Yeah, where now I can like sit back and analyze, okay, like, is this content creator performing well? Like, do I need to post more here? Do I need to email more celebrities or something like that? Like, what do I need to do? Where before it was like, okay, what do I need to post? And I didn't like that.
That's very counterintuitive mindset in terms of what people say nowadays, right? They're like, you gotta become obsessed with your brand, you know? You gotta know what like Robin's editing here, or you gotta know what like, you know, Devin's doing behind the scenes in terms of creating the podcast. Like a lot of people say you gotta actually become one with the brand and essentially, right? So like, how has that affected you in terms of your performance with this brand?
So that right there, the fact that you obsess over it, I felt like I was constantly sprinting.
Right.
And when you're how long can you really sprint for?
Not that long.
Before you burn out.
12 seconds.
So then that's why a lot of these people burn out. Or you don't even know how they actually feel behind closed doors.
Sure,
Yeah.
100%.
But if you're constantly sprinting, I will tell you right now, you're going to burn out and your business probably won't end up doing good. Or if it does good, you're going to feel like shit. Like, don't you want to have a successful business and be happy and have a good time and have an exciting life? Okay, well, that's what I want. So why would I be sprinting all the time? I'm not happy when I'm sprinting. I can't even talk, right? If I'm playing soccer and I'm sprinting all the time, you think I can have a chat with my buddy? Like, it's impossible. So I looked at it that way. I was like, I don't want to be sprinting 24/7. I want to be calm and be able to analyze things and be aware of what's happening, but I want to have control of it. Not these people have almost control over me that like I have to keep on producing this content. So I don't know, it's very different. And I felt like as soon as I stopped the sprint, which was me always creating content, I got to be go, go, go. I actually felt like I had more energy to actually put into the brand, which was weird because I was the brand and I was putting energy into myself, but I was like the product.
Right.
And if I'm the product and I'm trying to always improve the product, I feel like I can't improve the business. And I think that's when a lot of people go wrong, is like you also have to focus on the business, like how it actually operates, not just the product. It's like if you have, like you could have the best t-shirt, the highest quality t-shirt, but if you don't know how to run a business, that t-shirt's never gonna sell. It could be the best t-shirt, it doesn't matter. You'd have the best looking car, and if you don't know how to market, take pictures and make cool videos, the car is not gonna sell either.
True.
So I just, I started to think of it that way. It's like, I need to focus on the business. I already know the product's good. The clothing is sick. It's high quality. So how can I build the business? And then that's when I took that step back and I looked at the business as a whole and I started putting energy into that. And then that's when it started growing.
Yeah.
And now I'm in a place where it makes profit, where before it wasn't. It was just breaking even. So it's like, there's proof right there. Like I've done both things and I see which one does better. And I also feel it internally. I like, as a person, I feel better. Whereas when I was the product and trying to run the business, I felt like shit. I was constantly burnt out. I was tired all the time. And people say, oh yeah, like don't sleep. Like you got to keep on grinding. Okay, well, you need sleep. You can't, like I said, you can't sprint forever.
Yeah.
You need to eat right still. That's why I train every day. I eat right. Like you need to fuel your body. How the hell are you going to make a successful business if you as a person can't think properly and you're not operating properly? Well, then your business isn't going to operate properly. So that's when I started to focus on myself rather than being the product. And then I took that focus that I was putting on myself, like whatever, eating clean, training, like making sure like I'm taken care of. If I'm taken care of, then I go and take care of the business. And then that's when I started to grow.
Was there a specific switch or a moment that caused you to be like, okay, now I'm going to step back?
Try to think of something specific. Not necessarily.
Were you
Actually,
go for it?
Actually, yeah, probably the most specific thing, this is getting more into like personal.
Sure.
But was when I came out of a 7-year relationship. That's when everything switched. That's when I had the most like self-reflection ever on my business, personal life, relationships with friends, everything. Was that just like opened up my mind to just like the whole thing. And within those 6 months is when everything changed.
How so? Like, what did you change?
Just my mind changed. Like my mind just changed in every aspect possible. Like think of it, I went like from being a boy to a man.
Yeah.
Like a boy to a man. That's the best way I can describe it. I took initiative, responsibility for everything. Everything that happened with my business. The like if I was feeling like shit, it was my fault.
Yeah.
Everything was my fault. And I started telling myself that. I'm like, if I want to fix these things, I have to tell myself it's my fault, and then I have to find a solution. So that's why I like to think of myself as a master problem solver.
Yeah.
Everything. If there's a problem, my fault, how do I solve it? And it's worked for me. And I'm like happy doing it, because anytime a problem comes up, I ask myself, okay, how do I solve this? Like I can solve it because it's in my control.
Yeah.
Like I heard this thing, it's like, you can, like if it's raining, even if you get wet, it's your fault. But that's because you chose to go outside without an umbrella. Right? So you can't control the rain, but you can control the fact that you can bring a tool that helps you from like keeping you from getting wet.
Right.
So that's what the way I look at it is, you technically do have control over every aspect of your life. You just have to see it.
So how did you go from being a boy to a man?
That breakup.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was. It's like it flipped a switch. Like instantly flipped a switch.
Yeah.
So and then that's when I always say, it's like, the reason most people don't go from being a boy to a man is because they don't struggle.
Right.
They don't go through hardship. And in our society right now, it's honestly, it's pretty soft. It's pretty soft. Like we don't go through a lot of like crazy intense things. And if you do, it's very sporadic. Like maybe once a month you might go through a little something, or like every 6 months you go through something very traumatic or whatever. But it's like people aren't taking enough risks and not failing enough. Like the more you fail and the more risks you take, the faster you're gonna become, say, a man, or you're gonna be more successful. You literally just need to fail more. That's what I found. The more I failed and the more I told myself that it was my fault, I actually became stronger, smarter, better at like anything. But before, I would victimize myself. I'd be like, oh, like this sucks. Like, why does this happen to me? Like, oh, like why would this person treat me this way? Like, you know, like things like that. But how are you ever supposed to get better if you're never blaming yourself? You're always blaming other people, so it's always their fault. It's never your fault, so you don't have to get better. Because I'm just the victim. I'm just like, you guys are just beating me up. I'm just the punching bag. But if you turn into the puncher, then now you can look at things very differently. It's like, okay, well, if I threw that punch, how can I throw it better? Or why did I throw that punch? Why did I do that? Yeah. You know, you start asking yourself these things, and then you self-reflect, and then you can become a better person in every aspect of your life, not just business. Yeah. So
it's crazy how much a heartbreak puts you in a different spot, man.
It did. And at that time, at the time of the breakup too, it wasn't just that. It was the fact that I almost lost my business again. Yeah. So it was like it was like everything at once, man. Breakup, almost lost my business, and was broke as shit, man.
Yep.
Broke as shit and almost lost my business, and was just like, I also had moved out and I almost couldn't afford my rent. And I was like, that was like my lowest point. Heartbreak, financially struggling, and almost had to move back home. Yeah. And it was just like, and there was more too. There was more stuff that was going on at the time, but it was just like everything at once. And I was like, okay, why is this happening? Why am I in this position? And I started analyzing everything as if it was like a chessboard. I was like, what moves did I make to put me in this position? And if the game isn't over, I'm not in checkmate. Like, what moves can I make to get out of this, to put myself in a better position so I'm no longer in checkmate? Because I felt like I was in checkmate. I was like, yeah, I'm done.
Can't go here, can't go here, can't go there.
Yeah, don't have a job. Like, I'm about to lose my business, lost my girl, like all of these things, right? Yeah. So at that point, that's when everything started to change. And everything was, dude, it was like, so I was at this low point. From then, it was just like up, 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 come down, up, 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 come down, up, up, up. And it's just like ever since, it's just been going up. Like, I've never evolved so much in like the past 2 years. Yeah. That's why I said when you guys brought me on the podcast today, I'm so happy you guys brought me today and not when you guys asked me before.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, yeah. And I think it's only going to get bigger and better. So.
Of course.
No, that's very interesting in terms of, you know, we've gone through several phases in our life where it's like, you know, there's been points of low, and I think a lot of people fall into that victim mindset of like, you know, why did you do this to me? Or like, you know, why is it that, you know, the girl left me? Or why is it that, you know, the podcast didn't go out? Whereas you could sit back, and a lot of the times I heard this very beautiful quote, and it was like, when life is dark or you feel like everything around you is dark, just think of it as you're getting planted as a seed. It's a seed for you to grow, right? And I was like, holy shit, like, this is because once you fall to your low, you got nothing back. You can't go lower, right? Yeah. You've already at your bottom. So you start stacking your way up to the top, which is, I feel like a lot of people don't really have that mindset nowadays, where it's like, you know, like, keep trying. So it's interesting that you have that mindset. And it's a lot of that nowadays too, is like that definition of being a man is very, I feel like everyone has a right to make that definition, right? Yeah. Like, whether that's being a man to me versus being a man to Robin is very different.
Very subjective,
and very subjective, right? And so when people talk about this being a man, I think it's important for the man to have his own values that he's chasing,
100%.
Right? And it's like, we shouldn't let society define what that is. It's like, you choose your values and you hunt those to what you think is being a man. Yeah,
100%. I agree with that. Just to make a point on your planting a seed thing. So when I was going through all that, the breakup, financial struggle, all of that, I look at it that I had two moves. So if you're on a chessboard, there's two moves. One, I could have played the victim and tried to outrun, say if there's a cloud, you have a massive storm and you're just chilling there, okay? And you see this massive storm coming towards you. And you're in that position and the storm starts to hit. You can either choose to run away from the storm, but what happens? If the storm's a little faster than you, you're actually staying in the storm for longer. Yeah. Or you can run directly into the storm. You've probably heard this before, right?
Yeah, it's the cow and the... Or no, it's the bull and the cow story, I think. Whereas cows, when they see a storm, they run away from
Run away
Whereas
from
the
it.
bull stands there and starts running
towards it.
Yeah.
So if you run towards it, yeah, the pain is immense, and you have to look at yourself and reflect everything and be like, you're just gonna get hit with everything. So that's what I did to myself. I was like, hit me with everything. Like, it's all my fault. How can I fix it? So all the like hail, the storm, the lightning's just like striking me. But guess what? I got through it way faster. So instead of running with the storm or away from it, and it lasting 3, 4, 5 years, I got through it in less than a year because I was sprinting through that storm to get to the other side. But I was getting nailed every single day.
Yeah.
Right? So I look at it that way. I think when you have a problem, don't try to run away from it. Head first into it. Like, literally, don't even think twice about running away from it. And I think a lot of people nowadays run away from their problems, and that's why they're unhappy.
I wanted to even say, I just wanted to interject and say that diamonds aren't made without being under intense pressure, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And even to add on to the point where you said, you know, you feel like now we're in kind of soft times and there's a lot of weak men. How does that saying go?
It's like hard times, or no.
Yeah,
soft times create weak men.
men.
Hard times create stronger men. I don't know.
It's comfortability creates a weak man creates hard times create strong men, strong men create comfortability.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is, and I 100% believe that. So if you look at that, what can you do right now if we are in a soft time? What can you do to make it harder for yourself so that you can how can you make it uncomfortable so that you can still be a tough man? Some people might jump in a cold shower or cold plunge. I don't think that's the best thing. I've done that. I just think that's people that are looking for other ways to make them struggle, but I don't think that's necessarily the best thing. Like I've been there. But so I start to look at just take more, the best thing, instead of jumping in a cold shower, take more risks. Do stuff that scares you. Anything that scares you, whether it's starting a business, talking to someone important, like, even for me, if I talk to someone that I think is like more respectable than me and important and has built more than me, it's kind of scary because the guy's like intimidating. He's done a lot more than, he knows more than you. So why not try to like have those conversations with people that are above you and like talk to them and like do stuff that scares you, like even being on a podcast. Like, it's not necessarily the most comfortable thing. Like, you have cameras on you and stuff, like, but that's the only way you can struggle to be better, right? And then eventually it's just like, okay, I'm just on a podcast, it's chill. You know, it's easy.
Yeah, I think a lot of like society, they try to create this like soft men, hard men thing. I personally don't agree with that. I think it's a lot of like, to me, I go back to this definition a lot. It's like, chase whatever you want to chase, right? Whether that's a clothing brand for you, whether that's, you know, a podcast for me, it's like being the man. I feel like we have personally a responsibility to chase our dreams, right? And I feel like that's whether you're female, whether you're male, we all have collectively equal responsibilities to go and fulfill our purpose in life. And so to me, it's more about just like figure out what your purpose is on this.
But I think that's like the biggest question is when you ask people and you say, what's your purpose? Like, what do you normally get in response? The response that I normally get from people is normally very superficial. I don't know. What do you guys get?
There's definitely this is what we do. This is what we do. We ask people about what their passion is, right? And you'll notice.
Wait, do you believe that passion and purpose are the same thing?
No. Purpose, passion will drive your purpose.
Got it.
Yes. But when you ask people, most of the time, I will say, what I've just experienced, people just don't know. People just like,
they don't know.
You like, people ask us, why do you start a podcast? I don't know. It was like, we did it. Why'd you start your thing? I don't know. I needed something to do. I had to keep myself busy. Me personally, I'm the way of, I always need to be busy. I need to be doing something. And so whether that's starting a business, whether that's recording a podcast, whatever, going to the gym, I just got to keep myself busy. Because if I sit still, I'm going to get in my head and there's going to be a dark day.
Do you ask yourself why you need to stay busy though? Do you ever ask that question? Yeah, for sure. And I would say the answer is, not only am I chasing something to get, but I'm also running away from something as well. That's probably why. Because yes, the green Lamborghini beside you is very enticing, right? But there's also, you know, times when there was not even a glimpse of that Lamborghini. There was other things that you're running away from. And
not wanting going back. And again, like you said, the parents, like my mom is a huge influence on me, and I got to make sure that I prove to her that I'm here and I'm here. So a lot of that is running away.
I think a lot of the other reasons, a lot of us have that similar mindset is because we're all immigrants into this country, right? And I think that's the biggest thing is our parents sacrificed their entire life for one reason. And that one reason is so we could have a better life, or we could have a chance of fulfilling something they couldn't, right? So it's that sense of like, personally, I feel like I have this on this is my purpose. My purpose is to make sure that my parents, whatever they sacrificed, wasn't wasted.
Yeah, and that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's a good purpose.
And then you tell them you're going to start a podcast.
Yeah.
And they're like, what are you?
And they're like, what the fuck?
What's wrong with this? This is the way. This is what I sacrificed my whole life. Exactly. That's like my dad. It's like, I sacrificed all this just for you to start a clothing brand. Are you crazy? Like, what's wrong with you, man?
Yeah.
I work in the streets.
I think if anything though, it's really important if you don't know whether you know what your purpose is or not, it's really important not to be a coward. And I think that a lot of people don't even recognize when they're being cowardice and not confronting the things that they may be afraid of in life, and the things that if they do, actually do those things that they're afraid of, it'll help them grow and, make them into a better person, like you were saying, right?
Yeah.
So when you were going through those hard times, right? When you were going through the phase of that life where, shit was just not sticking, what were some steps that you implemented to get you out of that hole?
Finding my purpose. That was definitely one of them. And
I'm
I'm going to elaborate a little.
Yeah,
I'm going to elaborate.
That, yeah.
So that was by externalizing my motives. So most people internalize their motives, meaning I want this. I want a big house. I want a Lamborghini. I want money. It's always like, I want to prove to other people. But it's always like this internal like self-pleasure feeling. It's like, I just want to make myself feel good. And that can only last you so long before you become literally depressed. So you're always doing things for yourself. And I don't think anybody's happy doing things just solely for themselves. So I started to externalize all of my motives. I was no longer doing it for myself. Everything that I did was for somebody or something. So, for example, the safety thing. As soon as I started to say, okay, I'm doing this because people rely on me. My family relies on me. My future family relies on me. My dad, my mom left their country to come here so that they could do this for me. So why am I not doing the same thing? If they did it for me and I see them doing well, like they lived a good life, like they raised a good kid, like why would I not be doing the same thing? Like obviously they did something right. Yeah. So it's like, why am I trying to do all this stuff for myself? Why am I just trying to get a Lamborghini? Why am I trying to get this like nice house when I can have those things, sure, but I have to think about the external motives first. So whether that be, okay, I need to be respected and have this safety because one day when I have a wife or a girl, whatever it is, that I'm providing for her and I'm protecting her. So I need to keep on working. I need to keep earning this respect. I need to keep making money because life's hard right now. Like things are expensive. So I have to keep doing this. And then the other thing with my parents, okay, my parents are going to get old. They can't keep me safe all the time. They can't provide for me. At one point they're going to retire, right? They're not going to be making a lot of money. So I need to do it for them. So everything I started to do has an external motive. It had nothing to do with myself anymore. But by doing that, as a person, I was just becoming a better person. And it was like I was almost doing it for myself, but not. Because I could literally see myself getting better in all these different areas, making more money. My businesses was improving. But I was never internally thinking, I'm only doing this for myself. And I started to find my productivity, like the way I would like shoot up in the morning and be excited because people were relying on me. Like if I didn't get up, then I'm letting them down. Yeah. So it's like, if I'm letting people down, I am that much more motivated to continue. And it's an endless motivation because it's not just for myself. It's not, I wake up in the morning, today I don't feel like getting a Lamborghini. I'm going to go to bed. Whereas, holy shit, my parents are getting older. I need to make money. Yeah. I am getting older. I need to start a family soon and I need to get this done yesterday. So I'm up at 6 a.m. and I'm ready to go and I have to get it done. Yeah. So I'm not relying on emotion. It's like my emotions might be my trigger and like it might tell me my external environment and like how it's almost like a feedback loop. Yeah. But I never rely on my emotions to tell me what to do. I just my motives are always coming from just what has to be done to make these people happy and safe.
So do you believe in motivation then?
Oh, 100%. Motivation is 100% a thing. And I think it's been proven multiple times. The fact that dopamine is like motivation, like it's a literal neurotransmitter in the brain that causes you to
Or is it
go
more
search and seek.
discipline that you go towards?
Well, I think
'cause
discipline.
motivation's gonna push you so far, right?
Yeah.
Like you're gonna.
So the discipline comes, I'll tell you. So the motivation is what I just said.
Yeah.
With like the whole, people relying on me, I have to continue doing this.
Yeah.
The discipline comes when I wake up in the morning, and the same time I would have said, you know what, I don't feel like getting a Lamborghini today. Like, you know, I would have went to bed.
Right.
The discipline comes in where when I wake up that same morning and people rely on me and I still feel like shit, I go and do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when the discipline comes in. But the motive's still there. The motivation's still there. But now I have to be disciplined to continue that motive.
Right.
So I think they go hand in hand. Because some days you'll wake up and you'll be motivated. But then other days, like I said, you'll kind of feel like tired or, I don't know, a little bit sad. Something might have happened. I don't know, maybe the day before you lost some money. Like your business didn't do as good. But you can't wake up the next day and be like, oh, damn, like my business didn't I lost money yesterday. Like I should just like chill out today because I need a day of rest. No, you discipline. You keep on going. You got to be consistent. Like you have to.
Yeah.
And why do you have to? Because people rely on you. So now they go hand in hand. It's like an endless loop. Like it never stops. So now I wake up every day and it's like, I just can't stop. I can't.
Yeah. No, I've come to a similar realization in probably the past year of starting my own business and really getting into the world of entrepreneurship is changing what the goal is. So yes, the goal is Lamborghini. That's down the line, right?
that'd be
but instead of that being the goal has shifted to being the actionable steps day to day. So my goal is, and the Lamborghini will be a byproduct of that goal. So instead of being like, okay, I need $300,000 to buy a Lamborghini, the goal is, okay, I'm gonna spend 4 hours a day working on my business and this is what I'm gonna do. Every day I hit the 4 hours, that's the goal checked.
Yeah.
And that's a realization that I recently came up to. And so even when, on the days when I'm not like motivated or disciplined, it's like, the goal is that.
Yeah.
And if I do that, there's a good chance, there's a very high probability in a couple of years it'll be there. Right?
I actually do something very similar. So I have this notebook at home.
Yeah.
Still old school. Maybe this is because of my dad. Sure. I have this notebook beside me. It's like full calendar, has like the hours and everything of like the day. And I literally get it every year from Staples.
Yeah.
The same one. And it's got like basically like the actionable things that you can do in the day. And I write them in there and like the times and everything.
Yeah.
And I always write it either the day before or if it's like a big thing, like say for this podcast, like I wrote it at the beginning of the week, but it's all just in there. And I don't like to do it on my phone because your phone's a huge distraction. If I go on my phone, it's like, oh, there's an Instagram message. Now I got to check this. So I do it on paper because this paper is not going to distract me. There's nothing like, there's no pop-ups, there's no TikTok reels or whatever, anything. So I go there and I write each individual thing. And that's like the micro, right? So if I do these little micro things, and I don't make it crazy, like I make them all achievable.
Sure.
Like I can easily do all of these things.
Sure.
So if I'm doing these things, if I go and if I take my book from last year, I'm like, okay, how did I end up in this position? The same way I ended up in that like bad position, but now I can look at it in the opposite light. The reason I am in a good position today is because, well, I opened this book and I'm like, oh, damn, did all that, did all that, did all that, did all that. I'm like, well, that's why I'm here. So I don't even have to think about it. If I just keep on doing these day-to-day things, it's like, well, it just keeps on
Eventually
working.
you're gonna get there.
And I just pick up all these books, these 5 books of years, and I'm like, Dylan, how did you get here? I'm like, here.
That's how. Yeah.
This is how.
Exactly.
It's like, there's proof.
Yeah, it's a crazy realization because Robin and I had this similar conversation. I think it was last week when we recorded with Lakeside Boys.
Yeah.
And it was like I was telling him a goal I achieved over the thing.
remember this.
And then he was like, I was like, man, I'm just kind of surprised it happened. He's like, no, you shouldn't be. Like, look at what you did this whole year. Like, you worked your ass off to get to where you are. I'm like, shit, I actually did.
Yeah, my thing to him was like, you shouldn't be surprised that you achieved your goal because I saw you put in the work. If you didn't put in the work and you got the thing, be surprised. Holy shit, I got it.
How did I get
it? How on
it?
earth did I get it? But I saw him put in the work. I saw him grind his way there. So I'm like, you shouldn't be surprised. It was bound to happen.
So that's why I think self-reflection is so important. Whether you're in a bad position or a good position, look at how you got there. Because then you can extrapolate how to move next. That's why I always say life is chess. If you look at all the moves you made before, well, now you know how to move forward, right? And you can put yourself in a better position, or you can put yourself in a worse position. But if you don't self-reflect, how are you supposed to know what to do next?
Yeah.
Right? So, people forget, like, the past is important. Like, it's not like you have to focus on the past and live in the past, but like use it to your advantage so that you can move better in the future. 100%. A lot of people get stuck in the past, and then that's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
How does this turn into a concrete business now?
Okay.
Right? Like, that's also a great business because I'm in civil engineering. Right?
Yeah.
So as soon as you said that, I'm like, okay, let's talk.
Yeah. So the concrete business, that one did very well.
Yeah.
But that's because of all the struggles and all the stuff I'm saying right now is it led to that. Like, being as disciplined as I am, changing the motives, making all the mistakes with Rezillion and learning from that, like all the business back and stuff, how to talk to people, how to create relationships, how to give people good service. So I took all of that. And then on top of it, obviously my dad was in the concrete industry he still is, for like 30 years. I worked with him multiple times. I've probably done like 10 years of concrete on and off. Nice. And meeting people, right? So like as I'm in the concrete industry, I'm using my little chess pieces. I'm like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing for excavation. This guy has all the gravel connects, like all the little material, like slowly just like gathering what I need, right? And creating good relationships with these people. Because I think a lot of life is relationships, right?
Yeah.
Your network is your net worth. And I 100% agree with that. So after making those connections and learning everything I learned from Rezillion last year, beginning of 2023, I was like, okay, this is the year. I'm ready. I'm going to start it. I might not be fully ready, but I have what I need.
Right.
So started the business, started doing some side jobs, doing like driveway, sidewalk, doing some garage pads and stuff. And it just like one after another, like people were loving the work. They're like, this is the best finish we've ever seen. And not that people really care about concrete finish, but like still but it was about what I learned from Rezillion about like how people care about the service, the way you talk to them, the way I update them about like how the job's going along, like what's next, like you almost just learn what people want and what they need. And no matter what business you're in, that's going to help you. So I would do that. People would love it. Word of mouth. Oh, this guy's really good. Like his communication is amazing. He does a really good job. Anytime there's a problem, he'll come and fix it. Like blah, blah, blah. Tells the next person and the next person, the next. But concrete business is very word of mouth. You can't like, you can do social media. Like I have a social media for it. It's actually doing pretty good. And it just one thing led to the next, and the business is already growing, like to the point where this year I'm gonna have to hire people.
So are you on site, like actually placing concrete yourself?
Right now, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm good at it. So I'm there, but eventually I obviously, it's like the same with Rezillion. I want to remove myself.
Right.
But you also have to gain the respect of your employees or the people that are on your team. So you have to show that you're good at what you do. Like, okay, if I'm hiring this guy, he's gonna be like, is he gonna respect me if I have no idea how to finish concrete? I'm like, yo man, just go do it. Like just finish it. He's like, teach me. Like how do I do it? And if I can teach him and show him and give him value, okay, well now he respects me. And now he's willing to work for me and whatever. And I'll take care of my guys. Like I always, like I said, it's like everything is a relationship, including your employees. Like you got to make sure they're happy, right?
I think that's a very valuable thing in construction, especially. It's like earning respect. I think it's a very traditional trade. It's because in that trade, respect is earned, it's not given. Right? And especially it's coming
100%.
It's coming from like when I go on a site as an engineer, people are like, oh, here comes the boss. And he's like a 23-year-old kid walking outside. But then the laborer will see me pick up a hammer and start swinging. And they're like, holy shit, this kid is an engineer, but he's sitting here and swinging a hammer with me. And
that's what, and that's why I like construction, is because it's based on like what you actually can do.
Exactly.
So if I come up to the job site and I'm the boss on site and things are going wrong and I fix the problem, everyone's going to be like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. Like he came and we're all struggling and he just fixed the problem. Or he organized it. He organized this in a way that makes sense. So now they respect you. And now they want to work for you. Like nobody wants to work for someone they don't respect.
Of course.
And your business is going to end up failing. So that's why I'm still in there. And I want to be in there until I can create a good enough crew that can handle themselves, but also respect me when I'm not there. Right.
Do you notice a difference between like the product versus service business? Because I'm assuming Rezillion was more product based. And this is more service based. You still have a product and service industry, but it's more people connections and stuff like that. Or is there any?
I actually think it's, I like to think that Rezillion is also kind of service based in the fact that like you still need to build a lot of relationships.
Yeah.
Like I have to hold a lot of relationships to have the branding that it has. So, but then again, the product does take a little bit of a top seat or front seat, because once I give that person the product, it has to be good.
Exactly.
Right? Or else they're going to, like, why would they represent it? So I guess the respect might be earned initially through like the connection that I make with them, but it's like solidified through the product.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if I just gave them like a Gildan t-shirt with like some logo on it, they're going to be like, okay, this guy's going down. Like he's not making it. But if I give them a Rezillion shirt and they feel the quality and they're like, damn, like that design's sick and it feels good. Okay, now it's solidified.
Yeah.
So that's why I say
That connects
clothing's harder, right? Because you have to make an emotional connection, relationship, it's service, and then you have to have a good product too.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. Whereas concrete is like your hands. Can you just do it?
Just finish the contract. Yeah.
Yeah, but then your product is what you do. If you do a shitty job, then there's no way you're getting that call back.
Exactly. They're not. Yeah. You're getting.
What? 5?
High five. No.
Yeah. Or else you're getting a call back to come tear everything out.
Yeah.
You're losing money.
They're not gonna refer you. There's no reason, right?
Yeah. So then that's why that business did so well. Like I already been referred to multiple builders and stuff, which usually doesn't happen that fast. And yeah, now I already got some contracts with builders and stuff, and yeah, it's good. So it's a good business, man. That's the one. Honestly, that's my main source of income is the concrete business.
I was gonna ask. So is this what you want to do, or what happens with Rezillion?
I want the concrete business to supply and feed Rezillion.
Nice.
Yeah. I want the concrete business to be the parent.
Yeah.
And then feed Rezillion until Rezillion can be big enough. Because here's the thing, with clothing, you need capital. You need money. If you really want to be successful, it's very hard to get it out there. You either need a very big personal brand or you need money to toss into ads, to pay celebrities. Because like I said, the competition's already big. Like you already have your Nike, Adidas, Gymshark, Alphalete, all those different things. Yeah. There's so many clothing brands. Young LA, you have literally so many popping up everywhere. So it's like, to gain a competitive edge, you have to have celebrities wearing it, or you need to pump money into ads, or you need to have like the craziest content or something. So it's tough. So I would like to have the concrete business help Rezillion.
Yeah.
How much money have you put into Rezillion? You don't mind me asking.
How much money have I put into Rezillion? Oh my god, a lot.
But you continue to. My main thing I'm getting here at
Probably
is
close to like $500,000.
Yeah. But the main thing I get in here is like, that's your baby. Like you created that, so you're willing to get the concrete business to keep supplying the Rezillion.
Yeah. Like obviously Rezillion keeps itself afloat now.
Yes.
Before, keep dumping money. Keep dumping money. Keep dumping. Now it makes its own money. But still, it's nothing like crazy.
Of course.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy. Like, but that's the thing. Once you make a clothing brand that is very successful, it makes you a ton of money.
Nice.
But to get there is very hard. So now I'm finally breaking that barrier where it's like, okay, now it's self-sustained. Like it can make its own money. It can keep itself afloat, like blah, blah, whatever. But now I'd like to have the concrete business supply it a little bit more money so it can grow faster.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I invested a lot of money. Like $500,000 is a lot.
Yeah.
Right? So
insane.
yeah. But that's over 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane.
At what point
That's what like the bulk orders, like buying all the clothing, everything, all advertisements.
did you ever consider stopping? Like just like it's just not worth it?
Multiple times. Tons of times. I thought about stopping a million times.
Yeah. And
But
didn't you?
Rezillion.
because of the name, man.
Rezillion.
Resilient. I would literally sit in bed, I was like, I should just stop. Like this is bad. Like I'm losing money. Like this is terrible. But then I would think about actually, you know, it wasn't even that. It wasn't even the fact that it was called Rezillion. It was the fact that I saw how many connections and relationships I made because of the brand. Like think about it. I wouldn't even be here right now if it wasn't for Rezillion.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't even know you guys. I wouldn't even have hung out, right?
Yeah.
So, and I started thinking about all the people I've met and all the friendships I've made solely because I didn't stop working on Rezillion. And I was like, what's one of the most important things in life? Relationships. So I was like, why would I stop? Even if I'm losing money right now, I'm making the best connections of my life because of this brand.
Yeah.
So why am I going to stop? It's stupid. Like money's not everything. Like money will come. If I just keep on staying consistent, I keep meeting the right people and I keep on making connections and I'm a positive influence on the world, then the universe will give me what I desire.
100%. What was some of like those moments? Like you're in there. Like what caused those moments? What caused those moments?
One of them, I got a shipment of leggings, 300 leggings, and they were all ruined. All of them. From the manufacturer, they were all ruined. I was launching in 7 days, and I had 300 leggings that I could not sell to the public. And at that point, I was like, I just lost whatever it was, I don't know, thousands of dollars. I can't sell these, so I can't make my money back. I have 7 days. I've already promoted this launch, so everyone's expecting it to drop. And I am so screwed.
Oh, no.
So at that point, I was like, I should just stop this, man. I should just stop. This is terrible. And I'm like still living at my parents' place at the time. Yeah. And I'm like, they're gonna think I'm a failure. Like, I have these legs. Like, I'm never gonna move out. Like any of this stuff. I'm like, oh my god. And I'm just like, all these thoughts are going through my head. Yeah. And then the same thing came up where I was like, I can't stop. The relationships I made are too good. They're too good, and people. Like, I can't stop. And then I found a seamstress in the city and I got them to fix all 300 leggings in 3 days.
Whoa.
And I sent the bill to my manufacturer and said, you have to pay for this. And they paid for it.
Wow, okay.
So I came up with a solution. Like I said, there's a solution to everything. Like, whatever. So yeah, fixed that and ended up launching them and it did okay. Damn. But there's multiple times. Oh my god, the amount of times where I would literally sit there and be like, I should just stop this brand was like infinite. Yeah. But it's like the discipline comes in, right? It's like, no, don't stop. But then you also have to have a why. I think that's that's a reason why a lot of people do quit on their endeavors, is because they don't have a strong enough why. Because or else it's like, okay, like, oh, I'm failing, this is hurting, I'm emotional right now, I'm sad, or like, this is hurting, like, I can't do it anymore. If they don't have a why, they're just gonna be like, yeah, I'm done. Like, I'll just move on to something else. But if your why is strong, you're gonna keep on going. So I think that's always important to ask yourself why you're doing what you're doing.
100%. Do you think the Dylan you are right now, looking at the Dylan that was, 10 years old, if you see the difference between the two, what would be the biggest difference?
One was beta and one was alpha. Yeah. 5 years ago, beta. Now, alpha. Yeah.
Very nice.
Beta in the sense that he was a victim.
Yeah.
Played the victim card. If I'd look at him now, I'd be like, stop being a bitch. I was like, it's your fault. Yeah, it's your fault. Man up to it and figure it out. Damn. Yeah. And that's what I tell myself all the time. If there's a problem, it's your fault. Figure it out.
Yeah. What's the future looking like for Rezillion, the concrete business, everything, yourself?
It's looking good. Definitely a lot more traveling with Rezillion. So I'm gonna go back to Calgary. I think I mentioned that earlier. Yeah. I'm gonna go back there. I want to continue building relationships and everything. Also looking to go to Dubai. Because I don't know if you guys have seen the content, so we have a guy in Dubai working for
Whoever's
us.
running your ads needs a raise.
Yeah, exactly.
The Rolls Royce ad?
No, he's killing it. Yeah. So anyways, I actually don't know him. I've never met him in person. Okay. Yeah. So we want to go out there, meet him. Yeah. It's relationships, right? Yeah. So we want to build a nice relationship, take him out for dinner, like make sure like, hey, you work for Rezillion? Yeah. We're going to take you out. Yeah. So we're going to go there, meet him, see all the cars, meet some of the models, and create more connections. Who knows? Maybe meet some other people that we end up working with out there. And Dubai's a good place. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of business opportunities. So we're gonna go there with Rezillion, and then we're gonna throw one of our biggest events ever in this summer. So have you guys seen the videos for Project Rezillion? The parties we throw every year. We throw one party every year in the summer. Okay. And it is the craziest party. You guys have seen Project X, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's same thing. It's a Project X style, but Project Rezillion.
Okay. Do you know how Project X ended?
Ours doesn't end that way. Okay. So we changed the story a little bit. Yeah, and that happened because we throw the party at my parents' place. So because they have a nice house and they have like an in-ground pool and stuff. So we throw it. It's like an outdoor party. We rent a bouncy castle. Yeah. We have dunk tanks. We have a mechanical bull. We had like food trucks on site. Okay. It's a private party. Yeah. So it's all people that have supported Rezillion or worked for Rezillion, like all the models, photographers, whatever. Yeah. And we're thinking. We're thinking when it's not 100% sure, but we want to start making the event public. So we want to branch off Rezillion. So Rezillion is the brand, and then Project Rezillion we want to create into events. And the reason for that is because right now everything's on social media, right? So you have your community on social media, but we want to have a community that is physical. And the only way you can do that is by running events. So we want to start to create a community that is actually connected face to face. And we want to start throwing the best, most fun parties that aren't just like parties where you're just all you do is sit around, drink, and play beer pong. Like we want to have things, like things going on, like the mechanical bull, the bouncy castle. We want to have like stuff that's fun. Like it's got to be around a pool, it's got to be around water, like activities, right? And we just want to obviously like brand it all Rezillion and create something from that. And that way we have a community base. Someone like these people will support us no matter what. Like they're always there. I can see them. It's tangible. Whereas on social media, it's like, okay, they like our post, they comment, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, I don't even know you. Whereas this way, now we have social media, we have something tangible, physical, and then the pop-ups is another thing, right? Doing these pop-ups is super cool because we get to see these people face to face. So that's where Rezillion's heading. We want to make it a little bit more physical, create more of a community, obviously continue with the social media, hopefully start to get some celebrities and like famous athletes on our page and get them wearing our stuff. That's a move. And then concrete business, just keep on pouring concrete, man. Build a better crew and just keep on providing good service and hopefully make some good money. So then I can obviously take some of that money and put it into Rezillion to keep it growing. And then,
if you were to walk away from this podcast and you were to think to yourself, I wish those boys asked me that one question. Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you would want to touch on?
Nothing off the top of my head.
I wanted to ask about, throughout your journey, was there a moment that was like, wow, like, oh my God, how am I here?
Yeah.
Did you have one?
Just popped up into my mind. If I could show you this, I have this picture frame on my desk.
Okay.
And it's me laying in a pool of 350 orders, all that came in one day.
Damn.
Yeah. And it's me like, there's orders so I'm in the basement packaging. Like we have all the stuff at like in my parents' basement. And at the time it was just like shelves on either side. And I had launched a new launch of like hoodies and stuff and got 350 orders and it just like blew up. And so what I did is I packaged all of them, put them all over the floor. It was like a sea of Rezillion packages. And I went in the middle with one of them and just like covered myself and laid it. And my buddy took a picture and now it's on my, it's on my desk there. So I look at that and I'm like, if I can do that one time, I can do it again. Like, it's happened. So it's like, it's possible. So I always just look at that and that moment was insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Any advice you have for the audience listening if they want to, start their own business or change their mindset? Or
I keep going to you got to have a good why.
Yeah.
You have to have a strong why. If you do not have a strong why, and if you do not have external motives, you're not going to make it. You might make it for like 1 to maybe even 10 years. You might even make it to 10 years. But if you do not have a motive and a why that lasts a lifetime, eventually you're going to burn out. Eventually you're not going to want to do what you're doing. It has to be external. And then obviously you should enjoy what you're doing. But sometimes you got to do the hard shit and you can't always enjoy what you're doing. Sometimes it's just hard. Like I don't think I enjoy pouring concrete every day. Like no. It's hard. It's hard work. But I like what it does for other people because it I don't know. Yeah, it fuels that motive.
Yeah.
What about advice for someone like who's trying to start a clothing brand? Because that's a big thing that we see as well. 2 high school boys. I'm like, yo, we're gonna screen print a bunch of stuff and we're selling and make millions.
Don't start one.
Don't start one. Is that your advice?
I'm just kidding. No.
There's more competition.
No. I'm just saying like, just be prepared.
Yeah.
No.
If someone were to do it right,
if someone were to do it right now,
or if you were to go back and do it.
I keep on going back to the thought of you need to have some type of a base already.
Okay.
Or else you're going to struggle just as hard as I did. And probably more because I already had a little bit of a base of like a following, like a personal brand. So I think if you're going to start a clothing brand, build a base first. A base of say another business that provides you money, or a personal brand, or have connections of famous people or other influencers, you need something. If you do not have something and you're just gonna make shirts, you're not gonna make it. You have to have a base. So if I could go back, I would have probably built my personal brand, because that's what I was doing at the time. I would have probably built my personal brand even bigger and then dropped the clothing.
Gotcha.
Right? Because that was my avenue. But if I'm someone that say if I'm 35 and maybe I already have another business, or I have a good job and I'm making good money, okay, make sure you have like at least, I don't know, like maybe even like $50,000 to $100,000 ready to go to start this clothing business.
Okay.
And be ready to pay celebrities, pay influencers, like, because clothing is about influence, right? And the reputation and the relationships. You have to have people wearing it. If you don't have the right people wearing it, it's gonna flop. It's like, the way I look at it is like, think of the world as like a high school. If you have the cool kids in the high school wearing your stuff, the other people are probably gonna follow, because they look up to you. They're like, oh, like cool guy's wearing like that. That's a sick t-shirt. Like I want to get that one too. So we look at that as like celebrities, your influencers and stuff. So you got to pick one of those avenues, whether it's capital, whether it's your own personal brand, or whether it's your connections through celebrities and influencers. If you can create one of those bases, then you're good to go. Start it.
There you go.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah.
On that note, I think this is the perfect way to end off the podcast. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that like, subscribe, comment button. Check out Dylan. We'll tag everything in the description below. Buy some Rezillion Apparel. And until next time, keep rising. Peace.
Peace.
Peace out.
That's a wrap.
All right.